Buckle in, sports fans. You're listening to The William Haynes Show. The program will be starting in just a couple of minutes, so grab your popcorn and get ready to enjoy the show. While you're waiting, make sure you're following us on social media at WHBC Stream and staying tuned to WHBCStream.com. We're so glad to have you today on the program, and we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line on Twitter or call the show 352-639-0036. And thanks again for tuning in.
HBC. Well, it is a good evening to you and how you be. William Haynes here, you there, here on this Tuesday night at 11:02 with 25 seconds to go right along with it. We will be taking your calls up until about 12 at 352-639-0036 at WHBC Stream is how you can reach us on Twitter. A lot to talk about tonight, a lot to pack in to this 1 hour program. Of course, the Lightning, the headliner in a 5 overtime game, a 3-2 win finally over the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round of the NHL playoffs. Boy, was that 16 months too late, but we'll get into that in a second. And of course, the Rays, no slumps tonight either, picking up an 8-2 win over the Red Sox in a game where they used an opener, and the opener got hurt, and they had to stress the bullpen more than it already was, and they ended up getting another victory. We'll talk about that win, and also maybe how the bullpen lines up for the remainder of the series. Remember, there is two games in the next 2 days against these same Red Sox, so Blake Snell tomorrow, hopefully they can give him 5, so the Rays are going to have to be creative in piecing this together. Again, the number 352-639-0036. We got Lightning and Rays. Here is the monologue.
Handled by Vasilevsky. He's going to shoot toward the empty net. Gord catching up to it. He'll finish it off. Yanni Gord, another empty netter. He makes it 4-1. That's going to do it. It ends up a 4-1 final for John Cooper and his men. They capture the first President's Trophy in the history of the Tampa Bay Lightning. 116 points on the season.
Nothing else really matters at this point. You've done everything you can do with home ice advantage. The President's Trophy is nice, but we know there's some history with teams flaming out after being the best team in the regular season. I don't think that's going to happen to the Lightning. I don't think it's a burden they're going to carry around necessarily, but all that remains to be seen. But
spare me the rhetoric of their historic season. I want to hear nothing about the insane power play or the Vezina caliber goalie or the ghost of Stevie. We've seen this song and dance before. Years will they look like surefire cup contenders only to choke it away by being strangled of life. President's trophies mean nothing. Look at all of the god-tier squads that have crumbled over the years. The murderous row of opponents hasn't grown weaker either. I need to keep my options open. No, they need to prove something to me this year. Wake me when you reach the finals.
With 62 wins, of course it's going to be a disappointment if they don't win, because you know what? Nobody's going to remember those 62 wins. The guys in the team, yeah, we had a great year, but we didn't win. And ultimately, at the end of the year, it's the team that's holding the Stanley Cup that everybody remembers. And that's why if the Lightning don't do it, it will be disappointing.
They were so consistent this year. I think they only lost 2 games in a row one time.
Wow.
The entire year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to think you're going to get 4 out of 7 in a playoff series almost seems incomprehensible how you could pull that off. You're going to need something bad to happen to Tampa, something excellent to happen for your team, and all the stars to align to beat them in a series. That's how good they are.
Beautiful night in Tampa, Florida. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. We welcome you to Amalie Arena, round 1, game 1, best of 7. It's the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Pulls up, lays it back. Jones broken up. Short-handed breakaway. Alex Killorn is in. He scores! Brian DeZingle broken up. J.T. Miller pumped in by Chernak. The rebound. They score! Anthony Cirelli makes it 2-0. Dogging him. Jan Ruda. Sergachev scores! Yanni Gord might be the guy out in front. 3-0. Jenna cuts. Pulls it up all the way across. It jumps the stick of Chernak. And now a breakaway. Polino roars in. He scores! 10:45 left in the second period. The Blue Jackets on the scoreboard. They're onside. Here comes Savard. Little toe drag. He's right in. He scores! What a goal by David Savard! And with 12:04 left in regulation, Columbus is within 1. And Boone Jenner, here they come short-handed. Josh Anderson with Savard. He'll cut through the slot. Anderson shot scores! Josh Anderson with a short-handed goal. It's a new story. Game 1 is tied. Werenski looks it over. Around the clock, Panarin, and now Jones with a shot. He scores! Columbus has climbed that mountain, and now they're at the top. With 5:55 left, they have a 4-3 lead. Here comes Hedman out to center. Stretch pass chipped in by Stamkos. 4 seconds left. The Columbus Blue Jackets, they get it done in game 1. They come all the way back and defeat the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-3. Game number 2. And we'll see if the Tampa Bay Lightning will have that response after they got off to a great start and John Tortorella made all the right decisions. The league's best team in the regular season is down 2 games. As they salt away the rest of it, the Columbus Blue Jackets defeat the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-1. We're inside Nationwide Arena, round 1, game number 3. The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Columbus Blue Jackets. This series has become a stunning story. Columbus winning the first 2 in Tampa. Nikita Kucherov has received a 1-game suspension. Zach Werenski, his shot goes out past Zalewski. They score on the rebound. Wide open. And with a cannon blast, it's Columbus that strikes first. Nullified by Josh Anderson. Just listen. So the Columbus Blue Jackets do have a stranglehold on this best of 7 series. Up 3 games with a 3-1 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning. We get set for round number 1, game 4. It's the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Columbus Blue Jackets. This record-setting season for the Tampa Bay Lightning hanging in the balance tonight as they face elimination for the first time in the decade. It's a chance just wide. Bjorkstrand, they score on the follow-up. Pierre-Luc Dubois, 2-0, Columbus. Now, here's a chance, Stamkos, he'll dangle right in, he scores! Steven Stamkos, Tampa Bay's captain, has put them on the board. Now Stamkos to the slot, here comes Point, right in, he scores! Braden Point is heard from. A huge moment for the Tampa Bay Lightning. 2:08 left in the second period, we're tied. Panarin across, Dubois in front, off bodies, they score! Oliver Bjorkstrand! Columbus has a 1-goal lead with 1:14 to go.
Congratulations to the Blue Jackets. They sweep the Lightning. It's their first ever series win. The Lightning tried to battle back on a couple of occasions, but could not make the play when they needed to in the third. And the Lightning had a record-breaking regular season, but go out in 4 straight in the playoffs.
We just couldn't find our game. That was it. You know, it'd been with us all year, and for 6 days in April, we couldn't find it. When you have the amount of points we had, it's a blessing and a curse. in a way, because you don't play really any meaningful hockey for a long time. And then all of a sudden you got to amp it up, and it's not an excuse, it's a reality.
Our strengths this year, we're possessing the puck, skating with the puck, making plays. We didn't do that consistently. Special teams was huge for us during the season. Let us down in the playoffs.
This is the most confusing thing I think we've ever seen in the NHL, because this team won 2 series a year ago. Yeah. This is not some new kid on the block outfit who's getting a taste of the postseason for the first time. There are guys on that roster who beat Boston a year ago, who got to an Eastern Conference final, who ran into Ovechkin on a mission and lost out to those guys. They kept winning, and they kept winning. It felt easy. Game 1, they're up 3-0. It feels easier. That goal by Nick Foligno in the middle of the second period in Game 1, that was the moment where you end the series and you rip out the heart of Columbus. No, turnover McDonough, Foligno the other way, it's 3-1. Vasilevsky doesn't give him another big save. This is all on Tampa. I give all the credit to their demise to themselves. See you next year.
But you look at this 2-7, we focus on Tampa Bay. We say it's a different Columbus team, and it is, clearly. How different is Tampa Bay this time around?
Because Tampa built part of their team to play against a team like Columbus. It's going to be interesting to watch the matchup now. I think you're going to see a lot of scrums. I think you're going to see a lot of after the whistle stuff. I think you're going to see a lot of in-your-face maneuvering from the Tampa Bay Lightning, and Columbus is going to be coming right back at them.
We don't have any words, and we know you don't want to hear them. We understand your anger, your frustration, your sadness. Everything you're feeling, we get it. This isn't the ending we imagined, and certainly not the one we wanted. Thank you for being there the entire way. Those were the words from the Lightning on Twitter after the Bolts had been swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets, one of the biggest upsets in sports history. Not just that the Tampa Bay lost a series, but how they failed to win a single playoff game after tying the 1995-96 Detroit Red Wings for most wins in a season with 62. But of course, you knew that already. The heartbreak that followed the early playoff exit last year was well documented, whether you reside in the Tampa Bay market or not. But let's not live in the past. Sure, I spent 8 minutes dragging you through the hell that was all too real just 16 months ago, but let's look at the team the Lightning are playing in the first round of this year's playoffs. Oh, just one of the most bizarre rematches in the history of team sports. And I plan to say that before today's 5-overtime Game 1. Thank God the Lightning were on the winning end. Again, you are listening to The William Haynes Show. Number to call during the break is 352-639-0036. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We would love to hear from you. We'll be taking your Rays calls, your Lightning calls, any other sports-related calls that you have up until 12. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, sports fans. William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
WHBC. And at 11:15, we are back on the William Haynes Show. Again, number to call. We do have a line open for you. It is 352-639-0036. We would love to take your calls right now. Talking Lightning playoff win. They get a Game 1 win over the Blue Jackets to get this series finally off on the right foot. This was about a 6-hour game. Today in Tampa Bay sports was certainly an interesting day. And then let's not forget, we have an 8-2 Rays win to talk about. Andrew Kittredge open. He exits the game. I'm not sure we have an injury update on him yet. Was also, as I'm sure many of you listening were not able to catch a lot of that game because of the nature of Fox Sports Sun. And if you, I guess it doesn't matter if you have cable or not, or if you're using a cord-cutting service. But essentially, the Lightning started playing their game on Fox Sports Sun. That game started at 3 o'clock. And of course, we know from the 5 overtimes, that game did not finish until 9:30. Meanwhile, the Rays started at 7:30 against the Red Sox. So about the first 2 hours of that game, myself and probably the rest of you were not able to watch. It was on the Fox Sports Go app, but I was not able to access it on there. I'll watch the highlights and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow. But based on the box score and what I've looked at already, there's not too much to talk about. I did like the way Cash constructed the lineup. He went heavy righties. Mike Brasso at second base led off the game with the home run and led off the lineup, of course. So another good showing from him. Zunino was in the lineup. He went 0 for 3, but did score a run on a walk. No Meadows 0 for 4. And the pitching staff, it was a bullpen day. A lot of guys getting just an inning here or there, and we'll talk about how that'll affect the bullpen tomorrow. Again, it is Blake Snell versus, Zach Godley going tomorrow. Blake Snell, no decision, 3.38 ERA. Zach Godley, 0-1 with a 3.97 ERA. The Rays hoping to get about 5 innings or about 80 pitches from him. So hopefully he goes a little bit deeper than he did the last time out against the Yankees, where he went 3 innings, but he did look good. Struggled to find the zone on his fastball, but the curveball was wicked. The slider was working. He struck out Aaron Judge and those New York Yankees quite a few times. So the Rays need nothing more tomorrow. Of course they want to win, but nothing more than just some Blake Snell innings. His bullpen is not in a great spot, but I've looked at the box scores and found maybe some guys that they can rely on tomorrow. We'll take a break in about 3 minutes to give you the 2020 sports update to line it up for the rest of the show. We'll give you we'll do the baseball scores first. Pretty much all the games have gone final, and I'll spend the next couple minutes starting to talk about this Lightning game. I did promise tonight that Aaron, the show's NHL correspondent, would be on the show, but of course it was a busy day, and he's got a lot to look back on. It was about a 6-hour game. The Lightning, we were going to preview all the series that are going on right now. On the monitor, we have the Chicago Blackhawks and the Golden Knights. No score at the end of the first period, so we'll keep our eyes on that. And again, all the baseball games have pretty much gone final. The Rays 8-2 over the Red Sox, but it was the Tampa Bay Lightning today, 3-2 over the Columbus Blue Jackets in Game 1 of this series. Again, the monologue. If you're just joining us, I would definitely recommend on Spreaker.com you go back and listen to that. I had about an 8-minute little montage that led into a monologue that kind of really set the scene for what we're doing today. This was really the big story. The Lightning facing the Blue Jackets in the first round again after the Jackets swept the Bullets out of the playoffs after they had won the President's Cup and all of that. It was big for the Lightning to get the win today, no doubt. It's going to be very weird how this series lines up now with the 5 overtime games. They will play, I believe, on Thursday, so they get a day off in between. But they played essentially, 2+ games. Victor Hedman, a guy that we weren't even sure was going to play with an ankle injury, ended up getting like 58 minutes or something absurd like that. So it's definitely going to be strange. Yeah, he got 57.5 minutes tonight. Was his total time on the ice? 3-2. It was tied after the first period. The Blue Jackets struck first on a fluky power play goal. And then it was Braden Point getting his second goal of this postseason assist from Kucherov and Hedman. And then in the second period, the only goal was for Columbus. That made it 2-1. And then in the third period, just 23 seconds in, it was Yanni Gourde. His line did very well tonight. Very physical, very aggressive. McDonough and Blake Coleman were the assists. I think that's a line, and we'll talk about this probably with Aaron tomorrow. That line and its physicality can really set the tone. We know the Lightning have made a couple of moves to, as we heard in the montage there. They brought in some guys, maybe not that were great from a pure hockey standpoint, maybe not great skaters or shooters or defenders or whatever, but just real gritty guys that can hit, because that's really how the Columbus Blue Jackets got the Lightning off their game a year ago, and the Lightning wanted to kind of reconstruct and retool this roster to defend against that. And I think we saw tonight in this afternoon, it came to fruition a little bit, and of course no scores in the first, second, third, or fourth overtime, but in the fifth overtime, about halfway through, it was Braden Point getting his second goal of the game and the third of the postseason. Nikita Kucherov and Mikhail Sergachev on the assists. Again, it was a long game, and I know you or I didn't spend all 6 hours of it glued in front of our TV, but we'll spend some time tonight and tomorrow looking over, getting some nice takeaways. Again, Aaron, the show's NHL's correspondent, will be joining us. We'll talk about all the first round, do some qualifying round takeaways, and how the Lightning are lining up. It looks like they are just at about full strength. We weren't sure if Hedman was going to play, but of course he is back and looks good. I wouldn't be it would be tough in the way this series is to give him a day off, but I think you might have to look at doing that, just the way things are going right now. Also, Steven Stamkos is still out, did not play in today's game, but of course the offense with 3 goals, not exactly what you want, but the way the defense was working, I think you feel okay about it. And the total shots, let me get that up in a second, was absurd. I believe the most in a game for the Lightning, it was 88 shots for Lightning, 63 for the Blue Jackets, hits 59 for Tampa Bay, 46 for Columbus, 10 penalty minutes for the Bolts and 8 for Columbus. We're going to take a short break here. Remember, you can call the show at 352-639-0036. During the break would be a great time to do so. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We're going to take a short break, and we will be right back. HBC. Most games today in the MLB have already gone final. It was the Brewers 6-4 over the Twins, the Rays 8-2 over the Red Sox, Nationals 2, Mets 1. The White Sox won 8-4 over the Tigers to snap the Tigers' win streak. It was the Cubs 7-1 over the Indians. In 10 innings, it was the Orioles 10-9 on the road against the Phillies. In Yankee Stadium, the Yankees won 9-6 over the Braves. In 10, it was the Reds 6-5 over the Royals, a walk-off hit for Joey Votto. Also in 10, in the first Major League Baseball game in Buffalo in about 100 years, it was the Blue Jays 5-4 and a walk-off over the Marlins. And a couple of games in action right now, it is the Padres 6-1 over the Dodgers in the 6th. In the 5th inning, it's the Angels 5, Athletics nothing. In the 7th, it's the Astros up 6-2 over the Giants. In the 6th, it is the Rangers 4, Mariners 2. And in the 8th, it is the Rockies 7-2 over the Diamondbacks.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
WHBC. And at 11:25, we are back on the William Haynes Show. We'll take another break in about 15 minutes and give you the NBA basketball scores as we'll talk today's NHL hockey action. Again, we'll be taking your calls up until 12 at 352-639-0036. You can also tweet us your thoughts at WHBC Stream on Twitter. And since I mentioned it, I wanted to just take a peek at the hockey scores today. One got pushed back, of course, so it was the Lightning in five overtimes, 3-2 over the Blue Jackets, which, a little caveat here, longest overtime or longest NHL game since April 24th, 2003. It was the Anaheim Ducks 4-3 over the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference semifinal. That game also went to a fifth overtime. There was another one that went into fifth overtime in the year 2000, and then the only other games longer than that, there was a game in 1933 against the Maple Leafs and the Bruins that went to a sixth overtime, and a game against the Detroit Red Wings and the Montreal Maroons that went also to a sixth overtime. So certainly history being made. I don't think anyone besides maybe the people calling the game and the people inside the arena stuck around for all 6.5 hours of it. I think it is really quite amazing because of how taxing playing hockey is. Of course, sports like hockey and basketball, where it's a game in minutes, and the playoffs in about 48 minutes in a game, of course, 4 12-minute quarters, you have players, like LeBron James going about 40 minutes a game, bringing the game pretty much the whole time. In a hockey game where you have 3 20-minute periods, so again, 60 minutes a time, your best players, depending on if they're wingers or defenders, getting about 20 minutes a game. So guys like Victor Hedman, who's coming off an ankle injury, playing almost 60 minutes tonight. It's really quite impressive, and obviously players on both sides were gassed. It was funny to see that Braden Point goal to end things in the fifth overtime because everyone, the Blue Jackets defenders looked exhausted. The offense wasn't quite getting up, set up because of how tired they were. Again, 88 shots tonight for the Lightning. Really a remarkable effort by the Columbus Blue Jackets goalie to have 88 shots and only let 2 of them through. Korpisalo, the goal in net for the Blue Jackets. Thankfully not Sergei Bobrovsky, who now plays for the Florida Panthers, the goalie for the Blue Jackets last year, that really had some heroic performances against the Lightning in that sweep. Really good. I mean, if you're a Lightning fan, as I am, you live in this Tampa Bay market, really nothing better than to see the Lightning finally get revenge. Again, that feeling is not going to come to full fruition until the series is over and the Lightning come out victorious. But a team that they couldn't beat in a playoff series last year, you've already got game 1 in your back pocket. You take a 1-0 series lead. Again, it's going to be a little different. No home ice advantage, this and that. The Lightning were not able to secure the top seed and play Montreal. That will be the Philadelphia Flyers. But you get the tough Blue Jackets team here. Certainly not as good as they were a year ago. Again, Bobrovsky in net, and Artemi Panarin, a guy who now plays for the New York Rangers and is in consideration for the MVP award. So again, not the same team they were a year ago. The Lightning also a little bit better, depending on how you want to look at things. But again, they take a 1-0 series lead. Other NHL action, it was the Calgary Flames 3-2 over the Dallas Stars to take a 1-0 series lead. And in the first period, it is the Blackhawks and Golden Knights tied. Again, that was a scoreless first period. There was a game that will be played tomorrow. It was the Hurricanes and Bruins, who were supposed to play at 8 o'clock tonight, as the Lightning were scheduled to start at 3, and that game probably gets out around 5 or 6. They have time to clean up the ice, and it's Hurricanes and Bruins at 8, and of course that the Lightning game ends up going till about 9:30, and the Hurricanes and Bruins will play at 11 a.m. tomorrow. So that'll be a nice little bit of morning time hockey, and that's about all that happened today in the NHL. We'll maybe talk about some of the games that will be played tomorrow, and then of course on tomorrow's show we'll have NHL correspondent Aaron on the show to kind of preview everything and talk about what's going on, but we'll talk about the Rays 8-2 win over the Red Sox, and it looks like we have a guy that might be calling in, so I want to make sure we got him tracked down. So an 8-2 win over the Red Sox. Several takeaways for sure. It was John Curtis getting his first major league win against. He had his first appearance for the Rays on Sunday against the Yankees. Pitched a couple of innings there as well, so he gets the win. It was an Andrew Kittredge opener. He went out with an undisclosed injury. Kevin Cash is not sure. As we are going to head to a break real quick, and we will be right back.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036
I'm on a break right now. So what was your question
or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think. So we can argue.
If you got a question, that's
anyway,
fine. Or even just takeaways.
When all that's said and done, please stay tuned for Williams' world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're going to come back on in about 20 seconds. So if you don't mind repeating that, I totally agree with you. I mean, Pagan was a big deal in the back end of the pen, and obviously the Rays maybe saw something about him giving up the home runs and stuff. So we're about to come back from the break, and then I'll kind of bring it back up and we can go from there.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 11:32, we are back on the William Haynes Show, and we do have a caller. You are on the William Haynes Show. What is going on?
Hello, my name is Seth. I'm calling from Los Angeles, California.
All right. Well, it's nice to hear from you. What can you say about the Rays?
I just thought it was a fantastic win. You know, from a far off fan, kind of. I'm like one of the few California Rays fans, but we all enjoyed that one. I'll tell you that much. I'm sure we all really loved that, watching that happen. And I just thought that it was a great, turnaround win, getting a good jump early. Instead of kind of like waiting to come back until like the 7th or 8th inning. We get a good jump early, and then we really open the barrel up in the later innings of the game, and the bullpen held together. Very minor hiccups, and Manuel Margot gave us a reason to, really keep him in our hearts. Like we keep wondering if these trades are going to pan out, and I think that this one really did. So I just thought it was a great win.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a little bit concerned just because of the nature going with the opener today. The starters haven't been able to get length. Snell tomorrow hopefully can get some. And again, I agree with you with Margot. The early season struggles, he was batting with the 093 and the error in the outfield against the Yankees that brought in a couple of runs. But boy, the last couple of days he's looked good, including in the field. But I mean, what he's doing offensively, you can't put him on the bench just yet. I definitely agree with you. Also, being in Los Angeles, I don't know if you have the MLB at bat or whatever, but it must have been nice to get the whole game. People in Tampa Bay couldn't get it because the Lightning game was still on.
Yeah, I've got the MLB at bat, so it was a good, pretty whole game. I mean, I had to miss some of it. It was around dinner time for us, but it was a pretty complete game. I was able to watch the whole. I saw pretty much all of the ridiculous inning, the 6-run inning. So I got to catch the majority of that. It was really great to watch.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was just a great win all around. It was a great. I'm worried about Kittredge. I mean, that was unfortunate. I hope he's not looking at a Colin Poche situation.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I have the same opinions about the opener, the relievers carrying the team right now. I'm really concerned about our starters actually being able to find some length. And now with this news about McKay getting injured, and probably not going to be able to come up for a few weeks, maybe at all this season. That's rough. Like, we're basically relying on Glasnow and Snell and Yarbrough at this point, and the former two have not gotten length. So we got to have a game where they get length. We got to have these next two games. I'm desperately hoping that they can pitch good innings and get length and maybe even pick up some wins.
Yeah, they're saying right now that Blake Snell's expecting to go about 5 innings, 80 pitches. I honestly don't think that's enough, but if that's all they can get from him, that's what they're going to do. I mean, the only guys I have that aren't on back-to-backs, and maybe that could go tomorrow, I mean, you got Ryan Thompson, who pitched tonight and got a hold in an inning, Diego Castillo, Nick Anderson, if it's a high-leverage situation. I mean, they're running out of guys. Jalen Beeks, a guy that I thought would follow the opener today, did not make an appearance, so he could probably give you 2 or so after Snell, and that could get you through the 7th. So
Richards is another one.
Yep, he went 4 innings on Sunday, so he maybe could give you an inning or so. So I guess they do have options, but that's the problem. We saw this in 2018 and even to 19 with an extent with the opener. If you have a couple of guys in the rotation, you have to really rely on the opener. These bullpen, I mean, it gets stressed, and it's only a 60-game season, but they're going to need these high-leverage relievers at some point this year, and I'm just hoping they can hold it all together.
And that's the concern with me. That was really the concern about the Pagan trade. Is I'm thinking to myself, damn, Castillo and Alvarado have to come back. Like, they have to come back, and they have to come back strong, or we're going to be looking at pretty much our only high-leverage reliever is Anderson. And right now, Castillo looks strong. Alvarado looks shaky, to say the least. If we're going to be calling on him in high leverage situations, he cannot pitch like he did yesterday. That was a critical error that we by putting him in and letting him stay in and just flail around out there. That was worrisome, to say the least. So if we're going to be putting him up in like legit situations, he can't be doing that.
Yeah, and that was something I'd mentioned yesterday was Jose Alvarado's first appearance off the paternity list, and you think to a year ago where he had to spend, a couple of months or whatever in Venezuela dealing with family issues. It seems like, I don't know if he's not doing his throwing routine. Obviously, the birth of a child, you're not going to be throwing a bullpen session in the delivery room. But it just seems like his control when he comes back from these situations, he's got the fastball, but it's just so wild. And, of course, in the back end, you got to be able to throw strikes. And he was walking people. I'm totally with you. Every time I see him come in a high-leverage spot, I'm certainly worried. And, I mean, with the way Pagan has looked in San Diego this year, that was always his problem. The fastball's up in the zone. That's, it's certainly not high 90s. He gets hit out of the park a lot, and the Padres have had to deal with that. I think the Rays could kind of see that hitters were seeing him a certain type of way, and I'm glad they moved him. And the way Margot has been playing lately, I think they're finally seeing the benefits of the value that they were hoping to get back.
Right, absolutely. The only thing that concerned me is that he's a key piece and not replacing him. We did not get any other relievers in this offseason. I really think that the Rays kind of made a big mistake by not signing Blake Trinan instead of the Dodgers. I think that, and I'm a Dodger fan too.
Oh yeah.
LA, but I think the Rays could have rehabbed him better. We could have had that guy, in the back of the bullpen could have been the setup man for Anderson. And I wish we had jumped on that instead of letting the Dodgers take him. And he's been pretty good for the Dodgers. He's been all right. Like he's been hanging in there. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like maybe that was a mistake. Like maybe we should have picked him up. There were a few relievers that went out there, and I was like, wow, why didn't we go after these guys?
Yeah, I mean, with Trinan, it could have been a money thing, could have been a prospect thing. I guess you look at the front office. If you're going to trade away a guy like Emilio Pagan, who was their main closer, I think they felt really good about Anderson, how good he was, and he's lived up to that. But, I mean, you're certainly right. Alvarado and Castillo kind of being the main setup guys. Alvarado's had his struggles. Castillo has looked good, but for whatever reason, Cash has been really careful with him, just giving him an inning here and an inning there. So, I mean, I could totally see a situation where the back end kind of unravels a little bit because, like you're right, they didn't make that a point of emphasis in the offseason to kind of acquire another big piece alongside Anderson.
Yeah, no, I think that he was just like without that kind of secondary piece, we're looking at just kind of throwing together a back end of the bullpen, and that's the thing that concerns me a bit, especially going forward when we're facing a lot of high-leverage situations. I mean, we could be up against the Yankees in the clutch, and we need somebody that pitches good in high-leverage situations. And then what are we going to do? We're going to put up Fairbanks?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah.
I mean, I like Fairbanks. Don't get me wrong. Good kid. Was he worth Nick Solak? No. Like, not even close to value. I don't think. Unless he turns into a Aroldis Chapman overnight, that's just not. That was a terrible trade. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I can't blame you for thinking that. The fastball, it's hot, but it's not necessarily where you want it to be, and he's given up some hits, has also walked people. He's certainly not ready for high leverage spots. Certainly a guy that you want in the 5th or 6th and not in the 8th or 9th, certainly.
Yeah, maybe not even in the 5th or 6th in a close game.
Yeah.
might not put him in the close game at all. Like,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He got those 2 outs yesterday and then just completely fell apart. It's like, you can't, I don't know.
Yeah, that was the last game.
Today gave me a lot more confidence, but...
Yeah, I'm hoping the offense can keep it up. Certainly we can't get ahead of ourselves. It's the Red Sox. We knew the pitching staff for Boston was going to be bad going into this thing, but you think maybe if the offense can just get some confidence, they can live up to really what they were supposed to be. I mean, guys like Hunter Renfroe and Yoshi Tsutsugo. I mean, we were sold that this was going to be a better lineup than last year. They were going to hit more home runs. We haven't necessarily seen that so far, but the last handful of days, the offense has looked rather well.
And it's looked well on small ball, which, you know what, I think I can live without infinite home runs if we can get the small ball going. Like, I was really hoping that Renfroe and Yoshi would really hit a lot of power out the gate. Yoshi's been slumping hard, which, I mean, that makes sense. It seems like, you know, players from Asia, typically you're going to be looking at a few months of, like, acclimation and kind of, like, getting used to MLB pitching and hitting, but I don't know. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to see coming down the line. I mean, he looked great out the gate, and now he's looking a little shaky. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, if the jury's still out. If you had to say right now, is Tsutsugo going to be one of those guys that was good enough to be a star in the Japan League but can't quite catch up to Major League pitching, or do you think he's really just trying to work some stuff out?
You know what I think it honestly is? I think this is the acclimation period. And I think this kind of abortive season, like this short season, could very well be that period he needs to really get going. The only problem is we have him for 2 years. So it's like, if he isn't playing up to snuff in the first year and then plays out of his mind the second year and then the Yankees snack him up, then I'm going to be pretty sad. Like, let's just put it that way. I mean, he certainly, there's a lot of positives. I mean, we just saw very recently they did a report on like the pitch rate, like the average pitch rating in at bat. Yoshi is sitting at second right now, second highest in the whole league. That's great. I mean, that's something that gives me confidence. You know, he's sitting right under Yasmani Grandal and above people like Xander Bogaerts and Kyle Schwarber, which that's incredible. I mean, that's great. But I feel like mostly right now he's doing a lot of walking. And he's doing a lot of striking out, and I'm concerned that he's not really, his average is certainly not up to snuff. But I think maybe he just needs time to acclimate. I'm not gonna go full. I'm terrified this guy's gonna be a bust. I don't think so. I think give him a little time, and he will definitely be up to par in the next couple of weeks. I think, but I mean it's hard to say. I could eat crow very badly on that one.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's a transition this lineup kind of makes in the coming weeks, because hearing you talk about, you know, Tsutsugo taking pitches kind of reminds me of a Yandy Diaz, a type of guy that's really supposed to, you know, knock the balls out of the yard, but whatever reason, whether it's his swing or whatever is going on with him right now, Diaz is more content taking pitches, and he's walked a ton, but at the top of the lineup with the way he's supposed to hit the line drives, he's not giving the Rays what they really need right now. You know, moving runners over, a walk can only get you so far. So I'm hoping maybe guys like that can be a little more aggressive and get the bat off the shoulder and the power that those players are supposed to be having.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely more concerned with Yandy taking walks when we didn't have anyone else at the top end. Like when Meadows wasn't there. Now that Meadows is in the top end of the lineup, I'm hoping that maybe they put, if Yandy's going to be taking a bunch of walks, they put him behind Meadows, in front of Meadows like today, and have Meadows go after him, and then maybe if Meadows gets hot and Yandy's still taking walks, then we're looking at a lot of runs batted in for Meadows. Like that would definitely be good, I would think, and then maybe hopefully same thing with Yoshi. But I would definitely rather see their bats just heat up instead of both of them just eating up pitches and taking walks. I'd rather see hot bats from the two of them for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Meadows coming back as strong as he has really transformed the lineup, having a guy at the top of the order. Mike Brasso, I mean, I don't see how he can keep this up, but man, he's looked good the last couple of days.
I love Mike Brasso. I want to say right now, I'm a huge Mike Brasso supporter. Like the guy, I really think he's one of our strongest young guys. I think that he gets kind of a bad rap, like he just hasn't, because he hasn't. I feel like he hasn't, or maybe not a bad rap, but like he just hasn't really gotten a chance to shine. And I really think he could be one of our best young players. Like he's playing absolutely amazing baseball right now. I mean, the game today, he was seeing the ball so well. He had a great game, and then Lau came in right after him and had a fantastic game too. Like I mean, that's all of that is very good. Like the fact that we're getting two guys that are like that is great. And Brasso is so great because he's a super U. I mean, you can put him anywhere on the field, and he is going to be doing okay. I mean, defensively in the infield, I think he's a little bit weaker than in the outfield. But the fact that he can go basically anywhere is great. And, yeah, I think he's fantastic. I think he can keep it up. I think he's got a high ceiling, honestly. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see down the line. I mean, the other problem is we have space for a super U on the team, but we got to make sure that, like, everybody else is getting innings. I mean, like, the main starting guys are getting work. You know, and when Wander comes up and when Xavier Edwards comes up, we're going to start seeing, like, a lot of basically an infield log jam. So that could get interesting.
Certainly, and I think, yeah, what you said, Brasso being a super utility. I'm a big Wendell guy. Watching Brasso in left field a couple of nights ago damn near gave me nightmares. He did not look good out there. Yeah. But Wendell, a guy that can play second, third, shortstop, and the corner outfields. And then Brasso, I think what's such a big asset with him is that he can play also first base and kind of mix it up. I know Jose Martinez, the guy that I guess maybe they were planning to have as a righty at first base, but he's not a good first baseman. Brasso is not specialized at first base, but I like what he can do over there. And also like having a right-handed second baseman like they did tonight, if they want to go super heavy on the right-handed bats against a lefty starter like they did with Martin Perez, certainly, yeah, the flexibility is there. This lineup has tons of options, and I think Kevin Cash is really just scratching the surface on what this lineup can be right now.
100%. I think we really need to start throwing up these new lineup mixtures. Like I've really liked the different kind of vibe we're getting with each mix. I think we can really do a bunch of different permutations with this lineup and get a whole bunch of different guys up to the plate. Like I mean I love seeing Wendell. I think I'm also a huge Wendell fan. I think he's great, and he's seeing the ball incredibly well. So I mean if we give him more at bats, I think we'll see very good results. You know, Brasso getting more at bats, we're going to see good results, and just kind of mix it up every night. Really, the opposing team isn't going to know what's coming. You know, they won't know what they're going to see each night. And the fact that Margot is now hitting better at the bottom of the order and Kiermaier was hitting very well last night, that's all great too.
Absolutely, and that's a young team like the Rays. It really, and we saw it really in 2018. When they're hot, and when they're not, they're not. And when you have guys that can play so many different positions, you just ride the hot bat. If Margot's batting 400 in a stretch, you play him in right field, even though he's not an everyday player. If Brasso is going off, you can put him at first or second. Or if you want to get really, frisky, put him in left field. I totally agree with that. One thing, you mentioned the bottom of the order. I have to ask you, what's your take on the catcher position right now with the Rays?
Oh, boy. Well, if you happen to have paid attention to me in the Rays Discord, I am not a fan of a lot of the moves we've been making with catcher recently. I don't know what possessed them to DFA Kevin Smith, but that is, in my opinion, the absolute worst roster move I've seen them make this year. That was a terrible, terrible roster move. DFAing a guy right after he hit what was basically the game-winning hit against the Yankees. That was an absolutely horrible move, especially with the way Zunino's been playing. I mean, tonight he did some stuff that actually made me happy for once in my life. You know, watching him pick off Benintendi that was fantastic. You know, watching him take a walk that was big for that big inning that we had, great, fantastic. He's still hitting 0.95.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Kevin Smith is a career 270 batter. Like, how do you DFA that guy and keep Zunino as your starting catcher? I mean, I really think they need to legitimately platoon Perez and Zunino. Like, Perez and Zunino need to get like equal time. If we're gonna insist upon having Zunino as our one of our main catchers, they really need to just straight up platoon it and have Perez and Zunino get equal time. I know the pitchers like throwing to him, but at a certain point you have to ask yourself, are we going to sacrifice an at-bat every single game? We're going to sacrifice 4 at-bats just because the pitchers like throwing to a guy. I don't think so. I really think that maybe the pitchers need to see Perez more. Maybe we finally need to give Ronaldo a chance. If we're really going to be, doing this short season thing, we need to start calling people up. We need to start calling Ronaldo up. We need to give him a shot. If we're really, I think Zunino's got to have legit competition. Maybe legit competition will encourage him to play better. Would be the hope. I don't know. I have no idea. That position is probably the thing that worries me most about this Rays offense currently, is that we can't seem to not give Mike Zunino infinite at bats.
Yeah, I can't blame you. Kevin Smith, what was so weird to me is he never got an outright start. In the early season, he was an in-game replacement, whether they were pinch running or whatever, he would come in. He was, again, a lefty bat, again, you said with the 270 lifetime. They never gave him a chance. Kevin Cash, a guy that was a catcher when he played in the league, I think that I'm kind of starting to see the light on maybe why Zunino is playing. If he is so good at, the pitchers love throwing to him, Kevin Cash obviously will see the value in that. And that's something I've been mentioning on this show night in and night out. If you are going to put an automatic out in the 9 spot, it's going to hurt your offense, because we saw when Wendell was batting 9th, I believe, in a game against the Orioles, they've tried a couple different guys in 9th. When you can get the 9-hole on base and then flip the lineup to the top with Meadows and Yandy Diaz, I think that's where some real runs can come from. And by having, 088 Zunino batting 9th, you're killing that opportunity for sure.
100%. You're 100% correct. And I think, in my opinion, we talked a little bit about the roster changes they made over the offseason and the trades and stuff they didn't get. The absolute biggest mistake we made was not re-signing Travis d'Arnaud. That was a huge unforced error that we did not have to make. Like, he was absolutely critical for the Rays getting into the postseason last year, and he made some critical plays during the postseason. That relay was huge. All those things that he was bringing to the team, letting him walk to the Braves, who ended up playing us this year, and he faced us and did well against us. It's just a huge mistake. It's just an unforced error that we didn't have to make. And I mean, I don't know if I need to speak about this on public radio, but the cheapness of Stu Sternberg is a huge factor in that, I'm sure. And that was, I was very angry at that move, and I think that's one of the things that's hurting us the most in the catcher position right now, is not having that bat, not having Travis d'Arnaud. It's really bad for us.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I was going to say it, but I was going to let you finish your thought. I mean, let's be honest. We can be honest about it. The reason Travis d'Arnaud is no longer a Ray, it's strictly financial. He's getting $16 million over 2 years, and the Rays just don't deal out that kind of money. I mean, the fact that they're paying Kiermaier like that, I mean, they'll only give a franchise cornerstone that much money, and a Charlie Morton. Mike Zunino is making just under about $4.5 million, and there's a reason, just to cut cost. I think Travis d'Arnaud, I mean, earlier in his career, he had struggles with the Mets. Obviously, they DFA'd him. Your Dodgers flipped him over for nothing. I don't know exactly.
Yes, we did.
The process there. But obviously, the hitting coach, Matt Cotrero, he had spent time with, I believe, d'Arnaud in the minor leagues, and something really clicked there. The Rays, like I say on the show all the time, when the Rays get rid of a guy like that, or they let him walk, usually they know something we don't. I think that's a big case with Pagan, who hasn't looked great. for the Padres this year. Obviously, d'Arnaud has looked good for the Braves, but I just think maybe the Rays thought he wasn't worth maybe the $8+ million that they were going to have to give to him. But I agree. I mean, with no d'Arnaud, the Rays probably would not have been a playoff team a year ago.
Yeah, and I think really we just have to be honest that Stu Sternberg, I'm genuinely unsure that man is willing to play. He's willing to field a winning team. I really don't know if he is. Like he's making these sacrifices. Like clearly the purse strings are being held on us too tight. If we could get these guys some legitimate, help, even B-tier free agents, even a Josh Donaldson, even an Edwin Encarnacion. We didn't go after any of those guys. Like what is going on? Like I don't know. Like we can't even look at those players, and then we let d'Arnaud walk. And it's like, the purse strings are being held too tight. It's really the financial constraints that the Rays are being put under, I think, is a huge reason why this team has not really fired on all cylinders. We can't get past the Yankee machine by spending no money. We've got to spend something, I think, in the end.
Yeah, and let's be honest about this. The worst part about being a Rays fan is following free agency in the winter. I mean, Howie Kendrick, a guy that I was hoping the Rays would sign. I guess the Nationals gave him more money to stay. Nelson Cruz 2 years ago, before the 2019 season, a guy that I think would have completely transformed the Rays lineup. He goes to the Twins, and I think he's early 40s now, still crushing bombs. I mean, we look at these guys that on paper, be a good fit for the Rays, and you're right. I mean, Stu Sternberg has a set budget, and even if they can afford players, they would rather spend less to put money in other places. That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, and it's becoming a nightmare. It's become like we're potentially going to watch potential franchise cornerstones like Tyler Glasnow walk in the next couple of years if Stu Sternberg will not open his wallet just a smidge for us. I mean, if we let Tyler Glasnow walk, we would be the biggest fools in baseball. The kid's got so much upside. We can't let this guy go. We can't let players like Brandon Lau go. And I feel like eventually it's going to come down to we can't control them forever, and they're going to leave if we don't spend a tiny bit of money. Even Austin Meadows, if we don't give him anything, is going to walk. So we can't keep the purse strings this tight and expect those players to stay because they will be offered bigger contracts somewhere else. Hell, my Dodgers could snap up Tyler Glasnow in a second.
Absolutely,
if the Rays let him just walk, I would be very. I mean, I'd love to see Tyler Glasnow on the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But that's the right brain. That's the Dodgers side of my mindset, not the side that we're talking about.
I was gonna say, what did the Los Angeles Dodgers do to you that you're here listening to a Tampa Bay Rays show? Was it one too many Clayton Kershaw October nightmares?
No, you know what it really is. I am from a family that's kind of that is just we were all raised Dodger fans. My dad was raised a Dodger fan from early childhood. I've been to Dodger games a ton as a kid. But what it really came down to is I love them. They're my National League team 100%. Like I'm back in the blue all the way when it comes to the National League. But when it comes to the American League, I mean, my dad is a huge Blue Jays fan too. He really likes the Jays. I've been to a lot of Jays games in my youth. I've met every single manager from the Blue Jays since I was born. I have photos since 1999 of me with every single Blue Jays manager from that time period. I just met Charlie Montoya last year. Great guy.
Wow.
And so because we go to Jays games when they come to town. And I kind of as I was getting older, and becoming more of a fan of baseball, I really latched on to the Rays as kind of this underdog team. I'm from a huge market. I'm from LA. I get to watch the Dodgers crush and then choke in the World Series like they always do. But I get to watch the Dodgers crush it in the regular season. But I like the idea of this kind of like underdog team, and that's what drew me to the Rays in the end.
Absolutely, the Moneyball team of this era, no doubt. It is a little frustrating though to see Teams that have more money kind of waste it on free agents, and you think, I mean, you see all these bad free agent signings around the Rays, and you think, or around the league, and if you think, oh, if the Rays had half the amount to spend, the way they get more value per dollar than any other team in the league, and it's just such a shame that they're 30th in the league every year in payroll.
Absolutely. The Rays value per dollar, oh my God, and the trades we've made have generally been incredible. Jury's still out on Margot Pagan. Jury's still out on Renfroe Edwards for Pham. But mostly the trades we've made have been incredible, and the financial return we've gotten on basically dumpster has been fantastic. But it's like, I mean, yeah, if we had signed Nelson Cruz, we probably would have won the World Series last year. I could see a timeline where if we sign Nelson Cruz, we get past the Astros, we get past the Yankees, we're the ones up against the Nationals, and we don't lose at home, and we beat the Nationals and win the World Series. I could totally see that timeline, just kind of that piece slotting into our offense, and we let him go to the Twins, who are wasting him because they can't beat the Yankees.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's tough to watch. It's tough to watch in the offseason when we basically just stand pat, make a few minor trades, mostly stand pat, and do nothing. Literally, the biggest free agent signing we've had in God only knows how long was Tsutsugo. I mean,
yeah.
That was a huge free agent signing for us. Like, giving a tiny contract to a star from Japan was one of the biggest things we've done in free agency in years. Like, people were talking about that like we had signed Garrett Cole, you know?
For $400 million, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it felt like Garrett Cole. It felt Yoshi's like our Garrett Cole. Spending what was it, $15 million on him? Felt like spending $400 million. It was like, I don't know, man. And again, jury's still out on that signing. He's been great for him this year, but pitchers tend to deteriorate. So I don't know how. I do not think a 9-year contract with him made any sense at all. But hey, Yankees will do what the Yankees will do because they got a gajillion dollars to burn. You know, we can't light money on fire like they can. So, and that's the thing. That's what makes it tough for us to compete with a team that can do that.
Yeah, you brought up a good point, and I haven't really talked about this much, but you see, like, the super agents with Scott Boras, I mean, they get maximum money. You look like at a guy like Mike Trout, getting, 12 years, Mookie Betts, 12 years, Garrett Cole getting what he's getting. Those contracts put those players into their late 30s and early 40s, where they are not worth the $35 million a year that they're paying them, but that has become the price of admission. Oh, if you want Mike Trout, you're going to have to overpay for him in his 30s and 40s just to get him at his MVP level in his early 30s. And the fact that other teams have that much money to burn and the Rays are gripping at scraps, it's remarkable.
Now, to be fair, Mike Trout is superhuman and probably will still be raking and hitting 40 home runs into his mid-50s. So the Angels might actually have underpaid for him.
Oh, sure, yeah. If they keep him on that Peyton Manning human growth hormone, he'll be going into his 50s. I have no doubt.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I 100% believe the HGH rumors, but I'll certainly say that the guy is wild. I don't know what's up with him. He's crazy, but I definitely, yeah, it's like you said, it totally comes down to the fact that we cannot pay the price of admission, and that is why I advocate for a salary floor, and I always have. I've advocated for a salary floor since probably easily 2018, 2019, like watching these Rays teams that get 90 wins and either have to sneak into the postseason through the wild card or miss the big dance entirely. That's shameful. That is absolutely shameful that a team that gets 90 wins can't even scratch the floor of the postseason like in 2018. And it's what I think it really comes down to is Stu Sternberger is not being forced to spend money. I think if there was a salary floor in this league and the cheaper owners had to either sell the team or spend money, the Rays might have already 5 rings.
Oh, sure. With the front office, yeah, no doubt. It's
sad to watch.
It's going to be such an interesting thing to see unfold with the lease until 2028. Is Stu going to hold on to the team? You think he probably is. He's spending more time here than in New York, which I guess is a good sign. I think he's really pissing all over the fans that go to the games in the Trop. I live in Pinellas, so it's much easier for me to get to the Trop. I understand the struggles for the people in Tampa, but if Stu is not going to pony up for the part of the Tampa Stadium which he really needs to pay, the whole taxpayer thing is ridiculous to me. But if he's not going to pony up, I mean, who knows where this team is going to be? And you're right. I mean, Stu has done such a disservice to what has been an extremely loyal fan base. I mean, you look at whether you want to look at TV ratings, radio ratings, and even in the postseason last year, such a loyal fan base, and it's such a shame that we have Sternberg as the owner.
It's a terrible shame. It's awful. I mean, when you talk about bad owners in this league, you're looking at the owner of the Pirates, you're looking at the Wilpons, you're looking at us. That's who we're looking at. It's tragic. It's genuinely tragic to watch this team that could be the top of the heap in this league have to languish in the hands of an owner that is unwilling to do anything with them. I mean, honestly, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what if the Orlando group bought us? Like, I don't want us to leave Tampa Bay, but what if the Orlando group bought us and actually spent some money?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you wonder. You know, it makes you sit there and think. Like, it's like, and since I'm not from Florida, I kind of am unbiased in that perspective. As a fan, I almost want to see somebody that will pay to get legitimate free agents on the team and keep the ones we've got. Keep Meadows, keep Lau, keep Glasnow, sign them to huge contracts, get them taken care of. Like, that's what I want to see as a Rays fan, and I don't know if Sternberg is willing to pony that up. I really don't. The fans are so loyal to him. You're absolutely right. I mean, look at me. I'm from L.A., and I'm more loyal to the Rays than Stu Sternberg is.
Yeah.
like, come on. It's completely insane. It's completely insane to me.
As long as Stu's making a profit, and the TV deal that they have with Fox Sports Sun is really the biggest mover in that. He doesn't care. He'll go on I know he does an interview with Mark Topkin in the paper every year. He'll go on TV and say, "Oh, you know, we have opened up our budget by $2 million. I think we can be a more competitive team." He'll give us the spiel every year. He'll spit all over us about how we don't come to the games and how we don't deserve a team, and we'll all keep watching the games on TV and buying the tickets. That's what's going on.
Yeah, and I think really, if the MLB forced him to spend that money, he'd probably just sell the team.
He would.
If there was a salary cap, or a salary floor, I should say, he'd probably just sell the team. There would be no reason for him to stick with it. And you know what? Maybe that's what has to happen. Maybe we need to instill a salary floor. And you know what? Maybe with this next collective bargaining agreement, we might actually get that, which would be fantastic. If we could get a salary floor in the MLB, all of these, like, creeping bottom of the barrel teams that don't spend money would all of a sudden have to, and that's us. And then do we get 100 wins? Do we get to the World Series? It's huge.
Yeah, I think your head's really in the right place. I haven't heard a lot of salary floor talk. Of course, we hear all the time about salary cap, and that's obviously the wrong way to approach it, because teams like, you know, the Yankees that make MLB the sport that it is, they're never going to allow a salary cap. But of course, why would they complain about a salary floor? That means, I mean, more revenue, more money going around. I don't see the downside of how hard that would be to implicate. I'm honestly surprised the salary floor hasn't been implemented already.
It's stunning. It's stunning that it hasn't even been. It seems like it only gets considered in the fringest corners of the MLB fandom. You know, I mean, I also am a huge advocate for the robotic strike zone, the automatic strike zone, and that's another thing that seems to get a lot of fringe support, but it doesn't really seem to to get a huge amount of legitimate, press. So I don't know. I mean, I would hope that maybe the salary floor would be something we consider. I think that would save the Rays franchise in a number of ways, because either we get flipped to an owner who actually cares about us, or we get, Stu actually starts spending money. So
I guess the only problem, maybe with the salary floor would be, I mean, where Sternberg is at now, the reason why the budget is so low is because the profits aren't as high as these other teams. They don't have the ticket sales, they're not selling the hot dogs, this and that. I mean, there's not many owners out there that want to take a team. I mean, if the salary floor is higher than the profits that are coming in, how many owners are going to want to come in and take a loss on a team? I guess that would be the main point against the salary floor.
Yeah, but I mean, really what that comes down to is billionaire owners saying that taking a loss for 1 year is going to hurt them.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine for a second, if a salary floor had been enacted in Major League Baseball in, say, like, I don't know, 2015. And so then in 2018, the Rays signed Nelson Cruz. And then Nelson Cruz carries the Rays to the playoffs in 2018. Helps get us to the playoffs in 2019. Let's say in that alternate timeline, the Rays win the World Series. Does anyone honestly think that they would not be selling out games if there was money spent? You know, what Sternberg's philosophy is so backwards. He's under the impression that if you don't spend any money, if the fans don't show, we don't spend money. But that philosophy is 100% backwards. You have to think to yourself, if I spend money, the fans will come. If he crafted a team that gave them a reason to be there, they will come. You know, and that I think is the failure in thinking in Sternberg and every other cheapskate owner's mind.
Yeah, that's a good point. It makes it a lot easier to come across the bridge in the traffic to come to the Trop when, you know, they have a Nelson Cruz or if the owner cares about the team, you're right. The fans will be more supportive. It's remarkable how loyal these Rays fans are through all of this, myself included. It really is a bizarre scenario we're all living through.
100%. We are honestly maybe hurting ourselves by being as loyal as we are. But I mean, do we have a choice? Because the alternative is, what do we do? Not show up to the game, stop watching TV? Then Sternberg's whole mindset is validated. We can't let that happen, you know?
Exactly.
Honestly, I think if Rays fans care about this team, if they care about Sternberg spending money, the Rays fans next season need to show up in force in the Trop. You know, like those of us who are loyal have to come if we live in Florida. I mean, hell, if I lived anywhere near the Trop, I would be getting myself season tickets if I had the means, 100%. And I'd be there every game if I could. You know, like I love them so much. I'd love to do that. If I had the means, if I had the money, you know. But even just showing up to one or two games if you live near that area, maybe that'll change Sternberg's mind. But you know what? The dude's so cheap, I doubt it. I doubt if we were even selling games out, he would change his mind. I don't think he would. I really think that's just an excuse.
Yeah, it's a for-profit owner and for-profit exclusively. I mean, the fact that the ownership groups like that also, I think of there's an ownership group that owns the Philadelphia 76ers and also the New Jersey Devils, and I think there's another team in there that they have. These big money billionaires that are trying to get into these leagues that are obviously for profit, they shouldn't be allowed to buy teams because the motive is clear. They're not there to win games. They're there to put more money in their pocket.
Absolutely. It's all about financial gain. And I really think that if, you know, these people are billionaires, they have enough money as it is, you know, they should be shelling out the cash to put out a competitive team. And in leagues like the NFL and the NBA, you have that salary floor or salary cap or one of those things that will regulate how money is spent and create parity. And in the MLB, there is no parity. There are the haves and the have-nots, you know, and we are the have-nots. And until we become owned by someone who's willing to make us into a have, we will continue to barely scratch our way into the postseason, and we'll continue to have to fight and claw for every single win we get.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You couldn't have put it any better than that. Let's hope, really, that they can finish well this season. Hopefully, I mean, I think the playoffs is very realistic where they're at right now and how far they can go in the playoffs. And then, of course, like you said, if everything's back to normal next April, that the fans show out in droves and get this thing turned around. I want to thank you so much for the call. I didn't catch your name.
Seth.
Seth from Los Angeles. Thank you so much for the call, Seth. And please call back anytime. It was really a pleasure to talk to you tonight.
Yeah, it was 100% a pleasure on my end, too. I really appreciate it.
You got it. All right, and at 12:14, we're going to take a little bit of a break again, Seth. If you're still listening to this, thank you so much for the call. It was really great, too. We bounced around a lot of things, a lot of big big picture stuff, you have a lot of great thoughts. And I agree with you on all fronts. Again, going to take another break, about maybe another 10 minutes or so. But if you want to keep me on the air a little longer, anyone that's listening, you can call the show at 352-639-0036. We will be right back.
Hey, sports fans. William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 1019 FM. Sports Radio 636. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 12:16, we are back on the William Haynes Show. About final 15 minutes of the program. Again, anyone that's listening, the number to call. We just had Seth from LA, and it was a pleasure to speak to him. The number to call is 352-639-0036. Again, 352-639-0036. We also have a couple of thoughts on Twitter, both from another friend of the program, Stephen Wilkins. His first was he has thoughts about Loop. I'm not sure if that was in reference to when I had said listed off guys that could be good to go, or if he just means in the big picture. Loop, a guy, a lefty, kind of a side armor, kind of reminds me like an Adam Kalarick type. Really provides some value. He had a scoreless inning tonight. Actually, no, pardon. He did give up a run on 2 hits. Had a strikeout, no walks. As far as his ability to go tomorrow, he has pitched on back-to-back days, and Kevin Cash typically does not do that, so I would not expect him to pitch tomorrow. But down the line, he does have a 1.42 ERA. I'm not sure exactly. I mean, the run came in garbage time. It was an 8-1 game, so you don't necessarily knock the guy. The 1.42 ERA is really speaking for itself right now. He also clarified his performance tonight. And again, I didn't watch it. I'll have to take a look at the film. 1 earned run on 2 hits in an inning pitched. He had pitched yesterday, so obviously relievers are better on a day's rest. They're obviously not good on back-to-backs, and especially not in 3 straight days, so wouldn't expect him to pitch tomorrow. But again, a side armor. The Rays have a ton of those guys that don't necessarily have high velo, but they're just hard to see the ball into the bat. They earned run tonight, but again, the 1.42 ERA speaks for itself. I think he can be a piece. He's, I believe, 31 or 32 years old, so he's a crafty veteran. Liken him to a guy like Chaz Rowe, that's not necessarily a young gun that throws flames, but a guy that can just get outs. So I do like him, and thank you, Stephen Wilkins, for the question. And also from Stephen Wilkins, he says, Seth essentially summed up every Rays fan's thoughts ever. And again, Seth, thank you so much for the call. Again, I agree with you, Stephen. Really hit the nail on the head, whether it's about Steven Sternberg. I agreed with him wholeheartedly on the way this lineup is constructed, the pitching staff, the trades. I'm hoping things get turned around. It's all big picture stuff, and It's good to talk about it, to remind ourselves that there is some bigger stuff going on with the Rays. It's not just the game tonight, but there is bigger stuff at hand. Hopefully, we would love the storybook ending for Stu Sternberg to open up the wallets and have people streaming through the gates and filling up 30,000 every night. That in this market, that's never going to be the case. You're going to get 20, and if the team gets hot and some things change, you get 25,000 a night. That's where things could change. Stu Sternberg is always going to be about getting profit. I've read plenty of stuff about him. When he bought the team, he said he wanted to bring a World Series championship to this area. He says stuff like that, but you see the moves that he makes, and you just can't believe the words that come out of his mouth. Again, final 10 minutes of the program. We're going to put a wrap on this thing at 12:30. The number to call is 352-639-0036. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We thank Seth and Steven for coming in with their thoughts tonight, and everyone that's listening to the show. We've been getting some support, and I really cannot thank you, all of you, enough. It is the reason I am sitting here in this chair here on this now early Wednesday morning talking to all of you. So again, thank you. We'll wrap the show kind of talking about tonight's Rays game. Again, I missed most of it. It was not on Fox Sports Sun because of the Lightning game that ran until about 9:30. But the box score takeaways are as followed. The way the lineup lined up, it was Brasso, Diaz, Meadows, followed by Martinez, Renfroe, and Choi. And at the bottom, it was Adames, Margot, and Zunino. They did make a couple of in-game substitutions. It was a pinch hit situation for Lau. He came in and got a hit and scored a run, knocked in a run as well. Also worked a walk in a couple of plate appearances and finished the game at second base. So you like what he gives you there. Also, Setsugo pinched hit for Martinez, and because he was the DH, it was just a fine split. Setsugo goes to DH. He went 0 for 2, no walks, no strikeouts. Setsugo is batting 152. Again, the home run on opening day really has struggled since, has not put the barrel on the baseball. Seth had mentioned that he saw the most, I believe he said he saw the most pitches of any batter in the league. He's up there at the top with guys like Chris Bryant. So good from that perspective. Yandy Diaz, another guy. Diaz as well goes 2 for 4, scores a run, knocks in 2, also walks. So he batted second tonight and played third base. I think that's the platoon over there at third base. Against lefties, you have the righty Diaz, and then against righty starters, you have the lefty Setsugo. Neither a great defensive third baseman, but the Rays have, with the roster, the way it's constructed right now, have sacrificed some defense for some more offense and power specifically. So you love what Diaz is doing right now. It looks like they're both singles. As we look at the doubles tonight, it was a double for Renfroe, one for Margot, one for Lau, and one for Brasso. Brasso, a hell of a night in the leadoff spot. He was 2 for 3, scored 2 runs. He opened the game with a solo home run, and the Rays never looked back as they won 8-2. Well, the Red Sox did tie it, so they didn't quite ever look back, but they came back out with a run in the third to make it 2-1, and then it was a big 7th inning where they scored 6. It was an RBI double for Margot, an RBI double for Lau, and then an infield single for Diaz, which scored a run. There was a pass ball that scored Brandon Lau, and then Renfroe doubled to score Diaz and Meadows. So, again, Martin Perez, they finally got to him this time. He took the loss. He's now 2-2, 5 2/3. Gave up 2 earned runs on 3 hits, walked 2, struck out 5, and again that leadoff home run. And then it was Bryce, the reliever, that gave up the 5 runs, and then Stock gave up the other one. So they did get finally to Perez. They beat up a bad Red Sox bullpen. So the Rays, give them credit where it's due, but they beat up a pitching staff that really they're supposed to. The Red Sox, that's obviously the weakness of their team right now. But the Rays stacking some wins here now. They are now 10-8. They won 2 straight on the road. They have 2 more in Boston. And again, the Rays are in second place in the American League East, a game and a half back of the Yankees, who had a win against the Braves tonight. We look ahead to both to tomorrow and the rest of this road trip. There is a game tomorrow night at 7:30. So we'll be on whenever that game wraps, either at 11 or if it runs long again at 12. We'll be on the air and taking your calls and all that. If you have any thoughts about the game or whatnot, it'll be Blake Snell going up against Zach Godley. And then on Thursday at 4:30, so we'll be on at 9 o'clock sharp on Thursday. We'll also have a Lightning game to talk about as well, Game 2. So that'll be a nice show on Thursday at 9. Friday, we are going to be off, and then we'll be back the following Tuesday after the game in the Bronx against the Yankees. That'll be Blake Snell v. Tanaka, the way it's lined up right now. So a couple more shows here, and then we're packing up the WHBC studios in Clearwater, Florida, and moving it up to Tallahassee, where we will be I will be starting my collegiate career at Florida State, and don't worry, we will be with you still on the William Haynes Show. We'll also be stretching out to some other programming, some more FSU centralized stuff. I'm going to open up a podcast specifically for the Tampa Bay sports podcast called the Tampa Bay Tirade, but we'll still do the William Haynes Show, kind of a live feature to talk about games and national sports and stuff like that. So just wanted to remind you guys from the programming update, and we'll wrap the show in the final 5 minutes previewing tomorrow's game against Blake Snell v. Zach Godley. Blake Snell, no decisions for him yet this year, a 3.38 ERA. In his last start on Friday against the New York Yankees, he goes 3 innings, does not give up any hits, no runs, walks 2, and struck out 5. We look back to that start. Both walks were leadoff walks to start innings, and he ended up racking up some strikeouts, including 4 straight at one point in the contest. But the pitch count ran up because of the walks, a lot of high fastballs out of the zone. The control on the fastball wasn't there. But again, as we said, the curveball got some nice strikeouts. The slider was sharp. It was working the changeup in there. The 4-pitch mix was all there. They're hoping to get 5 innings and about 80 pitches from him, which is going to be big to get some innings. And we'll talk about the bullpen, the way it's lined up. He also had a 3-inning start against Baltimore and a 2-inning start against the Blue Jays before that. So you kind of see how he's getting built up. He was supposed to go about 4 or 5 against the Yankees. He only goes 3. So hopefully he can get 5 and really get this rotation stretch fully out to give the bullpen a little bit of a rest. As with the opener today, it was extremely taxed. And then we go to Zach Godley starting for the Red Sox. On the year, he was 0-1 with a 3.97 ERA. We look back to his last start on Saturday at home against the Toronto Blue Jays. He goes 4 innings pitched, walks 2, strikes out 3, and no runs on 3 hits. So looks relatively good in a game that the Red Sox actually lost. The Blue Jays now also played their first game in Buffalo against the Marlins, a walk-off win. What else would it be, of course? And we'll see the Blue Jays later in this road trip. That will be after we leave Boston on Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday we'll be in Buffalo, and then Tuesday through Thursday to finish out the road trip in Yankee Stadium. This is going to be a 10-game road trip. We're in the middle of it right now in what is the toughest stretch of the season, all American League East. After we get home, it doesn't get any better. A home series against the Blue Jays for 4 games and a 3-game set against the Orioles. So when the month of August is over, we're really going to have a good look at where this team stands because they're playing so many American League East teams. After that, it's pretty much all National League East. A couple series against the Marlins, a series against the Nats, 2 in fact, and then the Mets and Phillies to finish out the year. So this is really where the Rays can separate themselves. Again, the top 2 teams in each division will make the playoffs. So you don't have to beat up the Yankees this year to guarantee a playoff spot. If you can beat up on the Orioles and the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, you can secure yourself that playoff spot, and that's going to be crucial for the Rays coming up. And they're off to a good start, up 2-0 on the Boston Red Sox with tonight's 8-2 win. So it'll be Snell v. Godley. I wanted to just talk about the bullpen tonight. It was Andrew Kittredge getting the open. He gets hurt, can only record an out. It was John Curtis getting his first major league win. Congratulations to him. Goes 2 2/3. So, of course, he'll be unavailable tomorrow. Followed by 2 for Alvarado. He's out as well tomorrow, you would assume. Ryan Thompson pitched an inning. Another inning from Castillo. an inning for Loop, and finally it was an inning for Nick Anderson, which I don't love pitching him in a not high leverage situation, but they just needed an inning, and Anderson got out of it relatively cleanly, gives up a hit, and then strikes out the side. 17 pitches, so you think he didn't pitch tomorrow. If they want to put him on the back-to-back, I think they would like to avoid that, so maybe take him out of the mix. And Zach Godley, let me just see here. I'm trying to find out if he is a righty or a lefty. He is a right-handed thrower, so we're going to see a heavy lefty bat matchup. Michael Perez, you would assume, back in the lineup. Other lefties, you would think Setsugo at third. If you want to be really aggressive, go Wendell at shortstop, Lau at second. I would have Choi at first base, and then the outfield from left to right, I would go Meadows in left, Kiermaier in center, and I think you still stick Renfroe over there in right, get him some everyday playing time. So that's the way I would stack the lineup. They're gonna get some lefties against the right-handed pitcher Godley, a guy that is 0-1, again 3.97 ERA. You hope they can get to him. Some relievers that I would expect to go tomorrow to follow, hopefully 5 innings of Snell. Thompson can go, Castillo could go. I don't necessarily expect Anderson, but he could technically be available. And then some other guys, Peter Fairbanks, Chaz Rowe, maybe. Jalen Beeks, a guy I think definitely will pitch tomorrow. I thought he was going to follow the opener today, but did not. So you think you can get 2 innings out of him. I would expect him really to follow Snell. So let's walk through this. You get 5 from Snell, 2 from Beeks. That gets you into the 7th. And depending if you're up and down, if you're winning or losing, you kind of change things up. But that gets you through 7. And then you have a guy like maybe Fairbanks that can take 1, Castillo that can take 1, and then Ryan Thompson that'll get you through that. And then you'll have Tyler Glasnow the following day that can hopefully give you some innings, and then we give you the lineup as well. That's going to put a wrap on the show. A really good show. We had a nice little monologue that I spent some time putting together. Also had our first official caller in the history of the William Haynes Show. I didn't want to mention that to Seth. I didn't want to put him on the spot, but he was really the first official caller. I've had some friends that I put up to call, but the first true caller. Thank you so much, Seth in LA. Dodger fan Seth, if I dare, but no, we appreciate your support of the Rays, and it was so great to talk to you tonight, bounce some thoughts off of you. Had a lot of good things to say. To everyone else that's listening, I would say thank you to you as well. We will be back on the air tomorrow, recapping hopefully another Rays win.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66. The Fan.
HBC.